All right, so let's move on to perpendicular lines. So this is a question, again, gets asked a lot too. Find the equation of a line perpendicular to line L that passes through the point 2, 1. So I'm using the same point. I'm going to use the same original line, so line L. And if we look at line L over here, so this line L, and we found the equation earlier. So line L is y equals, and it was 2/3 x, 2/3 x plus 5/3. All right, so that was our original line L. Now what I want to do is find a line that is perpendicular to it, and it has to pass through a certain point. So if this is like a line out here, this is line L, what I want is a line that is perpendicular to it. And that line has to pass through a particular point, 2, 1. That's what I'm looking for. So it's actually not as hard as it sounds. The big takeaway here is, if you think about it, before we said parallel lines have the same slope. Well, for perpendicular lines, it's a little bit different, but not too difficult. So for perpendicular, the slope of two perpendicular lines is the opposite reciprocal. All right, the opposite reciprocal. And we'll just put a big old box around that one as well, because that is also really important. All right, so the slope of two perpendicular lines is the opposite reciprocal. So what do I mean by opposite reciprocal? Let me give you an example. Suppose m equals 2. Well, in that case, if I wanted it to be perpendicular, and one symbol we like to use for perpendicular is an upside down T. This stands for perpendicular. So if our original slope is 2, if I'm perpendicular to it, my new slope is going to be negative 1/2. So notice how I took the reciprocal and I switched the sign. Let's do another example. How about, what if our original slope was negative 2/3? So negative 2/3, if I want something that is perpendicular to that, my new slope would be a positive 3/2. Again, I just flip the fraction and I reverse the sign. That's what I mean by opposite reciprocal. So let's go back to our problem here. Find the equation of a line perpendicular to line L that passes through the point 2, 1. So I know the original line. Now the only thing I have to worry about here is the slope. So my slope is 2/3. So let's see, if your slope is 2/3 and I want a slope that is perpendicular, I'm going to flip it over and take the opposite sign. So the opposite of positive is negative. 2/3, if I take the reciprocal, that means flip it over, I have 3/2. So 2/3 will become negative 3/2. That's the slope that I'm going to work with. So m equals negative 3/2. It's my slope. And once again, it's the same thing as parallel lines, same thing as finding the equation for any line. You know a point and you know the slope, you should be able to get it from there. We just plug in, I got y equals mx plus b. Well, I already know what m is. Y equals negative 3/2 x plus b. So a y and an x, I know what that is. A y and an x, because I have one right here. I have an x and I have a y. And make sure you put it in the right order, by the way. A lot of people make the mistake of putting the first number in for y. Don't do that. Remember, the first number is your x. All right, so my y is going to be 1. So I have 1 equals negative 3/2 x. I'm sorry, not x. Ooh, we're not doing x because I know what x is. X is 2. Let me just rewrite that completely. 1 equals negative 3 halves times 2. 2 is my x plus b. Now b, I can't fill in anything for b because I don't know what that is. All right. So let's see here. Negative 3 halves times 2. Well, that's like saying negative 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. I have a 2 on top, a 2 on bottom. That would cancel. So that leaves me with 1 equals negative 3 plus b. Add 3 to both sides. B equals 4. All right, so my final equation, since I know m and I know b, I would have y equals negative 3 over 2 x plus 4. Now let's see if that's actually true. It's always kind of fun to make sure that we have the right answers, isn't it? But let's see here. I'm going to turn the page back to where we were. So our parallel line was correct. That part was correct. Our parallel line. So I'm going to use my pencil instead that I just dropped. There we go. My equation was y equals negative 3 halves x plus 4. So I'm starting at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 is my y-intercept. Negative 3 halves. So I'm going to go down 3 over 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, notice that this line passes through the point 2, 1. That was my 2, 1. So I know it passes through here. All right, so I got my 2 lines, or points, I mean. So 2 points determine a line. So let's see if this makes it perpendicular. And sure enough, that is perpendicular. Look how it crosses. It crosses here at a 90-degree angle. That is a 90-degree angle, so it is perpendicular. That's a perpendicular line.